Hi, welcome to the SCG podcast, where we speak to business owners, entrepreneurs, and people in fitness and wellness. Today, we have Alex Flores, a bank manager and owner of Key West Vibes, a completely online apparel company. On this episode, we'll discuss relationships, mindset, and how COVID has pushed us into entrepreneurship. So hopefully, today, we all learned something. Thank you for letting me in your house and, getting this all set up. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we get another chance to catch up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is another friendship that I'm rekindling, if that's the term. Me and you've been friends for years, the Poinciana Plaza days. So,
Yeah.
and it was good catching up the other day, just talking and seeing where each other's minds are at, and that was awesome because I love meeting minds and just getting on that level. So, can you introduce yourself and tell the people what you do?
Absolutely. So, my name is Alex Flores. I was raised in Key West, and I want to say that most of my professional life I spent it in the banking and finance world, and I've juggled a couple other things, so it's been fun. It's been a fun run.
Yeah, man. Well, this part of your journey took you to Atlanta, took you to a couple places. So,
yeah,
what really made you want to start getting into banking? What was it that started that?
To be honest, man, it was just the money. It wasn't necessarily.
Money excites me too.
Yeah. I think it'll be hard to find somebody that it doesn't.
Right.
It wasn't the money I was getting paid. That's for sure. So when you start as a teller, I don't know if you've ever had experience with anybody that's worked there or not, but it's not the best paying job, especially in Key West when you can be a server and make $150, $250 a day or a night.
Right.
But more so than anything, man, it was just being around it. I grew up what I can consider myself almost an only child. I do have a little sister that you just met. I have a little brother.
Yeah.
But, my upbringing, led me to that, and it led me to just simply always wanted to learn and be in a position of I don't necessarily want to say influence or power, but just, something that was relevant, that mattered in the real world. Funny enough, when I first opened my account, and I must have been 14, 15 years old, my dad took me to Wachovia at that time.
Yeah.
And the banker that helped me out, he's a local guy too. So the guy that helped me out, he
was it Butler?
No.
Oh, okay.
I worked with him though.
Okay.
Yeah, hell of a guy, man. No, but the guy that helped me out, man, he was a character, man. He had something about him, man, just made me want to listen to him and hear what he had to say, and just attracted me to his aura.
Right.
And I've always I've held that experience very close. He sat down and said, "Hey, you can do this in life. You got a scholarship. You can do that. You can get into banking, and want to become a branch manager." And I just held on to that, man, and I went on and worked, several odd jobs in between. But when the position became available, I started at that bank.
All right.
So, funny enough, I started a week before I converted to Wells Fargo. I missed working with him I don't know, it was 7-8 months before he had left.
Right.
But
you got to absorb that information from him and learn.
Yeah. He was definitely, man, he was like I said, he was a character, and he just had something about his personality that was charismatic, and, I appreciated something about him, and in general, the way that he was moving, the way he talked, the way he, inspired confidence and ambition in me. It was admirable, and I appreciate that.
Right.
So that's one of the things that, honestly, as I just sit back and go throughout my daily interactions with people, man, I try to do that. I try to give back and inspire, whether it's a customer or family or friends or anybody I might just run into the streets, right? To do the same. So that's what my adventure has led me to.
Right. No, that's awesome, man. So what exactly do you do with the bank?
So no, at the moment, man, I'm a branch manager.
Okay.
I've been back in Key West with this job for almost 2 years now. So
Okay. Working at that exact branch?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you're working multiple banks though, right?
When I first started, yeah, I had to. The guy that was down here was overseeing multiple branches. So when I took over, and we just kind of had to make it happen.
Okay.
Be in two places at one time, but it essentially worked out, man. And that was the biggest thing too. To some people it might be better to be able to say, oh, I went back and forth between two banks, but I'd rather be in one place and build more meaningful connections with the people there, as opposed to being half the week here, half the week somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. No. I'm kind of in a position now with my job where I'm between two different offices.
Right.
So it's weird for me because I have a desk at one, and then the other one I'm floating in and out of, helping out and, training people. And it's hard because you have a relationship with these people here. You don't get to see them, and then you're building a relationship here. So it's kind of like that tug, So everyone's used to seeing me at one place, and then they come there and they're like, oh, when are you coming back? I'm like, I don't know, man. We'll see.
But you know what? Regardless of what you do, right? Whether it's the DMV, the tax office, the bank, McDonald's, whatever it might be, those are the things, man, that just make it meaningful.
Right.
Doing what you do aside from obviously on paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And, that's nice too.
No,
but
building those relationships.
Just being able to know that you're gonna go to work and see people you're familiar with and people you can actually have a conversation with, and that to some regards you might consider them to be friends,
right?
To be associates and whatnot.
No, you become family too.
Yeah, and especially the people you work with.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, you kind of separate the two. That they're work family, and then you have family. Right. But you have different levels, but they're definitely family.
Yeah. No, I've been there. I've been called what is it called?
Work husband. Yeah.
Once or twice in my life.
Yeah. I got a couple work wives.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of them.
It's interesting because, man, all of them at one point have come into the office. We'll go back and forth and just talk and be like, hey, man, I'm happy you're here, man. I know you take a lot from her. So when I get her, she's a little bit more calm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Nah,
it's all fun and games.
Nah, it's fun. It's absolutely fun.
And a lot of the times too, though, it's on the other side of things where it's not necessarily the affection that people take too far, but it's the taking things too personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the times people in the workplace will find themselves in a position where, they might care more than they should for a person, just out of, just genuine care.
Yeah, and that's what it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
You have, and I'm sorry if that came off wrong. It's more of like, you have this relationship. You feel so close to someone because you talk to them every day. You're next to each other. They might see you cry. They're that person outside of your home that you can speak to because you know that they may not say something, but it's one of those things. You gotta have boundaries.
You have to, man, and it's tough, especially if you consider yourself a person that's a good listener or just somebody that at the end of the day, if you see somebody down, you're gonna give them a hand.
No, absolutely.
It weighs on you. I think a lot of the times, whether you know it or you realize it, it takes a lot. When you give energy, I believe, and somebody told me this one day. Friendship is give and take.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. You buy me lunch 5 times.
Right.
And I never did.
Right.
But the amount of time that I might sit here and listen to you and talk to you and hear your problems and hear you out and give you advice, that takes from you.
Yeah.
Whether I, feel like I'm giving you something.
Right.
It does, and I think a lot of times a friendship, man, can grow into such a beautiful thing that, friends respect that and know, like, oh no, man, he's going through a hard time or she's going through a hard time, so I'm gonna be there for them, you know. And
yeah, man, you gotta give love to receive love. So when someone's buying you food and you may not have, I've come across people that they don't have the means to. Oh, I can't pay for that. When you need somebody to lean on, that's that person, or maybe it's not.
Maybe.
But regardless, energy is never lost. It is always transferred. So
yeah, no, I agree, man. And that's the beauty about the workplace. It can become an escape from whether it's your own life or your family or your loved ones, whatever it might be.
Yeah. A lot of relationships are saved because of the workplace.
I agree.
Yeah. When we had the quarantine, I was like, man, I don't know how many relationships are going to make it after this, because you're used to having those 8 hours separated where you can decompress, you can separate, your everyday feelings, and then it's like now we're locked in this room for.
You gotta stare at your face the rest of the day and figure out how to get along with you. No, you're absolutely right, man. And it's I was talking to a guy one day I met a long time ago, and he had worked for a company for 35, 40 plus years, and when he retired, he was well off. He was great, a hell of a retirement package. He went home and divorced his wife within 5 months. And, in the midst of me talking to him and just listening to him, he said, look, Alex, I went home and I realized I did not know who my wife was. Right. And she didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, you got to build that. You got to build that relationship and that rapport with that person. That's something that I'm working on as a person, because I feel like, in my previous relationships, it was them trying to figure out who I was, and they really didn't. And then me trying to be who I am, and the feelings weren't reciprocated. You have to build the point of a relationship is to get to know each other and build together. And like that story with your friend, it's one of those things where you have to take the time, and some people don't. They don't know how to. And that's one of my issues also. Is I'm a worker. I'm always working. I'm always in my head, and I'm trying to decompress, figure out where to monetize my time into different facets of my life,
It's hard, man. I think that
especially when you're dedicated.
Especially when it's hard for somebody just we were talking about being a multitasker earlier.
Right.
Even somebody that's able to, and a multitasker, by the way, I think it's not somebody being able to do multiple things at the same time, right? I think it's just your ability to be able to go back and forth between different things or activities or lines of thoughts for that matter. But it's hard, especially when it's work. You get home, and it's supposed to be, or at least what most people expect, it's supposed to be about the wife. Mm-hmm. Well, in a relationship, you have to take that time, not only to necessarily know who that person is, mm-hmm. right? But more importantly, I believe it's knowing who you are. Right. I think a lot of people get stuck in these cycles of whether it's just a certain comfort level that they want. Right. So they know that this person that they're with allows them to, for lack of a better analogy, just sit on the couch. Mm-hmm. And
they come home and relax, and there's no, I believe a relationship is also work. You have to put time into that too. You can't just sit back. But this is also coming from two single dudes too. So yeah. So this is us and seeing the lessons we've learned from our past, and kind of learning, picking up things from other people too.
No, absolutely. I got 2 kids, right? Right. So when I look back and analyze the decisions that led me to not only having them, but how I carried out my relationships, whether it was with their mom or anybody else that might have came after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting because you go back and you can always nitpick at something.
Yeah.
You can always put your hand on your chest and say, hey, man, I messed up in this. Yeah. I should have done this better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but in all reality, the basis of what might have gone wrong is just simply you not knowing, or me not knowing who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time for me to not only be comfortable with myself, but to be able to learn who I was.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
You know, at that point, how do I take what I learned and apply it to now the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's personal or career-wise.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty in the journey, man, of being able to go back and going through these life experiences, whether they hurt you, right, when you go back and think about them, or they make you feel, depressed.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it might be, whether you know, excitement as well, and being able to go back to them and saying, hey, this is what I learned, and this is the conclusion of what I can extrapolate from those experiences.
I've gone through all those phases, you know, being down on myself, the depression, trying to figure things out, then figuring out where I could have fixed something, you know. And the thing is, it's not about regret. It's about learning about myself and my bad tendencies, you know, where my pitfalls are. So no, that's perfect. That was perfect. I like that.
I like you agree.
Yeah. I like that, man. No, it's because it's honest, you know, and that's what we need to be with ourselves is honest and figuring out what we need from ourselves and what we need from each other, you know.
Right.
Like there was this girl that I was talking to, and she couldn't answer this question for me. And, you know,
what was the question?
So I asked her, I said, what is it that you want? And she could not answer. She kept asking me, what is it that I want? I'm like, I'm asking you, like, just be honest about how you feel and set your boundaries. That's something that I've been coming across. Like, that's a term that I've been coming across a lot, is setting boundaries and understanding what it is that you want, setting the tone, you know? Mm-hmm. So she really couldn't answer it, and she never really did answer it. She just agreed with what I said. So I was like, you're not being real with yourself right now. But
you know what's the beauty of, you know, people coming together, whether it's in a relationship, a friendship, or whatever. You know, I think the beauty is that people find themselves in such different spaces at different times, right? And you can meet somebody like that person now, but maybe she wasn't in the right space, or maybe you weren't the one.
Right.
You know, you trying to do something that was probably a little bit more aggressive than what she was expecting or wanted in her life at the moment. You see what I mean? Because it's tough.
Yeah.
For you to be able to go say and date somebody and say, hey, how many kids do you want?
Right.
How do you feel about maybe hanging out with the boys on the weekend?
Right. No, and that's the other thing is you.
You know, some girls might just want to get away. Maybe they got out of a bad relationship, and
yes,
you know what, man, I'm tired of always having to pick up the phone whenever this dude calls, and I just, you know, I want to have fun.
Right.
You know, and if you find a good person,
yes,
that's going through that stage, you know, what do? Do you turn them away? Do you shut them off and say, hey, you know what? Not for me.
Yeah, not right now. Maybe we can pick this up later. You know, maybe we could be friends, and maybe that friendship will then bloom into something.
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's at. That's that sweet spot. Yeah. And I've come to. I'm happy you said that, because that's the part in life where I'm at, where I'm trying to see where someone else is at in life. Because at this point in my life, I'm not for all the crazy, you know, jealousy and all that, and you know that comes with everything. I'm not nitpicking, but what I'm saying is that I'm not going to settle for something that isn't healthy. You know, it's the jealousy. It happens. You know, there's sometimes you'll see someone giving someone attention. It's like you know,
that's the human nature.
Yeah, exactly. It's an animal instinct also. You know, because us being men, we get a little, you know, like, you looking at home? Like, what?
Well, a woman can be like that too.
No, yeah, absolutely.
we're not gonna go down that line.
Yeah,
because that line of conversation might cause controversy.
Yeah,
but, absolutely. I think that a lot of, I think that just realizing where you are, man, and knowing who you are, is key. Because at the end of the day, man, it's your life is let's be honest, your life is about yourself.
Right.
You're meant to be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's the hardest thing somebody can do. Why? That's probably why most people find themselves giving so much into a relationship that when they realize that person is not given the same amount or the same level of intensity, how could you? Mm-hmm. Like, really?
Right.
I gave up this for you. Yeah. I did this for you.
Right.
Well, to some extent, that's also unfair.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to build a relationship with you, don't put that on me. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm moving at my pace because you know what? Maybe my life has dictated for me to take my time with somebody, take my time to showing that other somebody who I am.
Right.
And it's really, man. I think, like I said, it's just understanding. Communication is key, but just respecting people and respecting where they are.
Right.
So
it's solid, man. Look, I'm gonna switch gears. I'm trying to figure out what you got going on, man, because you got so many hats going on. Multitasking. This guy's got so many things going. So let's talk about
Key West Vibes.
Key West Vibes, yes.
That's a fun project, man. I started that last year, and the idea behind that, right? The reason I started it, I wanted to put something forward for people who might not necessarily know how Key West is. Right. I've always found myself when I was in Atlanta or in Miami, I always found myself bringing people down here, entertaining them. Hey, we gotta go down there. Hey, man, we gotta do this Duval ride. Hey, man, we gotta go to the pier at night. Hey, we gotta. So many different things. Oh, by the way, we gotta hit up the McDonald's at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, right. We pull up and that is there.
Yeah, tradition, cuz.
It's all these little things, man, that creates a sort of vibe. And I think that, especially for me, that I was away for so long, I can tell the difference. Yeah. I knew
you appreciated it too a lot more when you got back.
No, absolutely. I get back here and people just take things they take life so seriously. And, not to say that it's not and you shouldn't care, but, it's also not that bad. Right. Life is
it's what you make it.
It's simple too.
Yeah.
Life is simple. Yeah. People just overcomplicate things. Right. So, Key West Vibe started with that concept. I wanted to do something that, like you said, I have so many skill sets that, I wanted to do something relating to this. There's a whole thought pattern and a whole line of succession that I plan on taking that towards. But, essentially it was putting together something that gave people not only necessarily the content, but, it's also an apparel store. Right. KeyWestVibes.com. You can go on and get a t-shirt that, it's going to be well fitted. Right. You can wear out with your favorite Jordans, Nike.
Right. It's not touristy. It's not tourist. It's fashion.
It's fashion forward to some extent.
Right.
Absolutely, it's different. It's a little bit more clean. It's a little bit more of this than your typical $5 t-shirt.
Yeah, no, it's got some swag and some flair. I like what you did with the website too. It's dope.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
See, a lot of that came from just me, doing random projects and stuff for people, and when I put it together, man, it was great because I got so much of the creativity around that I can play with, and when I was putting it together, man, it was just that I was having fun. Right. So Key West Vibes came out of that, man, and for me, the whole idea of it is just growing it into this rather well-encompassing media lifestyle and apparel company. I have fun promoting other people, shouting them out.
Appreciate the shout out.
Nah, man, of course. And it's it's the little things that I don't, it's not meant to be for the locals.
Yeah.
It's also not necessarily meant to just be for the outsiders.
Right.
It's supposed to be all inclusive, and I'm gonna throw out whatever breakfast we're having, or I think you need to hit up, and go from there. But I'm also gonna shout out, for example, there's some beautiful pictures from like North Florida beaches and sunsets and things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the vibe. It's all about
right. You want to be inclusive.
Yeah, it's about enjoying the beauty of what we have here,
right.
And it's a unique place. It's a unique.
There's no place like the Keys.
No, man,
there's not. It's I've traveled around a bit. I haven't always lived here. I lived in North Carolina, and I've gone to every place. Is so different, but there's no place like the Keys at all. The vibe, the way that we live, we have a great setup here. Yeah. There's not many places that I don't know how many people are unemployed here, but the business is great here. And
Key West is the only place, well, pre-pandemic,
right.
everything else that's going on in the world right now, it was the only place that you can come and you can work the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Work the same day, get money, that Friday.
Right.
You don't have to necessarily go too far. Now, that is, you're gonna have to want to work.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's what I believe a lot of people down here, man. It's hard to find good help, as many can agree. But I think there's also such a lack of, not a lack, but just there's no sense of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
People just they take for granted what we have, and it's like you said, hey, you got so many things going on, and I'm blessed to be able to have them and be able to do them. But honestly, half the battle is being able to do them, like physically being able to say, hey, you know what, I can have this podcast with Eddie today because you know what, he's 15 minutes away.
Right.
You're not an hour away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure yourself, as somebody that in this situation, you're coming to my house.
Right.
You don't feel like you're wasting half of your day driving back and forth, and that's the position I will find myself often in Atlanta. Everything's
coming
an
clear
hour
across
away.
town. Yeah, coming clear across town. You got traffic. You got to schedule everything an hour and a half advance.
Yeah. And you gotta hope somebody doesn't turn over their 18-wheeler on the highway.
Right.
Because then that takes away the rest of your day.
Right.
So it's a lot of that, man, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing now. Whether it's Key West Vibes, whether it's my day job over at the bank, whether it's being with my kids, whether it's catching up with friends, because I'm able to do it, and I'm able to do it in a relatively calm fashion. Yeah. I don't have to stress about it. I don't believe in stress anyways, but
yeah. And I've gone with this carefree, like, to be honest with you, the part of me that's professional, I was like, man, I got to get to his house at 8. I got to set up. And then I seen you were coming in, back into your car, and I was like, oh, I'm cool. So then, I kind of chilled out a little bit, and that's what I like. I like about here is everything is just so carefree. And to what you were saying about your apparel company. Now, is there anything else you have going on that you want to talk about?
With it, man, I took a break with everything that was going on, and I literally put in there on vacation due to COVID.
Right.
I'm growing, and what I'm hoping to do with it, right, is to really expand on these relationships that I have in the city with people here, and do some fun projects. Not necessarily, I can tell you, hey, you know what? At the end of this month, I got new designs dropping, and make sure you cop that. But no, man, I want to have some fun projects. I want to go back and forth and maybe help other businesses, like we did with the shout outs and promoting, pushing things, and just doing it for our culture, our Key West.
Right.
So I definitely am looking forward to doing a lot more of that and just putting them together. And I think this pandemic was really not necessarily the push, right? But it was definitely the kick in the ass to just say, hey.
It was a reset for sure.
Yeah. We took the time off.
I got so hungry after that pandemic. I just wanted to do so many things you don't know. That's why I ended up diving into this. I was like, I've always worked 2 jobs. My second job got taken away because of it. And I was so hungry, you know. I wanted to feed that animal. So that's what I did. Yeah, man. I'm happy you're doing that. You're doing something that allows you to be free, and you're not bogging your time down with it. You're doing it in your free time, you know, and enjoying your family and your friends, and that's all we can really ask for, you know.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, people get caught up and say, well, when I'm rich, or when I have this job, or when I'm the boss, or when I own my house. Like, when you own your house, what?
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy
then
life
what?
magically?
Then what?
That's not gonna happen. You know, it's the moments like this, it's the struggle, it's the the days after work of just being tired and battered and, you know, feeling like you really just need to take the next 2 weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the moments that matter. Those are the moments that you really need to learn to embrace.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people have an issue doing that. You know, they struggle, and as you should feel bad that, you know, you're having a bad time with life, and that's okay. You know, you got to be able to give yourself that leeway of being human,
right.
You know, and embracing how you're feeling and you're feeling it, and whether or not you were given that in your childhood. I mean, it's past the point at this point, and
right.
you should
now you're an adult, so you got to get past all that.
Yeah.
Extra.
So, you know, with life, man, that's the beauty of it. It's in the journey itself. Not where you're gonna go, not where you're gonna get. You know, might never get there anyway. So
yeah, no. That's the other thing. I wanted. I made this to record the journey of everybody is got a story, and I think we should all be able to tell it. Yeah, man. So with this whole COVID thing, because speaking about, you know, a lot of people are having a lot rougher than I do. So what programs are y'all doing at the bank? Is there anything that y'all have going on there?
You know, we got a lot of things going on, and not necessarily just particularly with my bank, right? But we've heard of the SBA system, the stimulus packages, you know, all of these multi-step programs and that are, you know, being put in place to help people. Particularly right now, the hottest thing is the SBA disaster loan that was just made readily available to people again, because it shut down after a couple of weeks. It was just bombarded with applications, but it was open again to the general business public or independent contractors to be able to apply, and, you know, depending on calculations of everything they put in there, they might apply. They might qualify for $1,000 loan, or up to $150,000 is the maximum.
And what exactly do you need to apply for that? Like, is there a standard, you know, credit score, things like that?
You know, as far as the underwriting requirements, you know, it's not something that the bank manages. Any bank manages directly. Okay. So with this particular program, right, you go directly. You can Google SBA disaster loan and pull it up and put in your application. It's literally 20 questions at the most, 25. Yeah. But it's very straightforward. So if you own your business, right, you're a sole proprietor, you are an LLC, you're a corporation, or you're an independent contractor, meaning you're working for somebody else and you get a 1099 as opposed to the W-2. They don't take any taxes out of your payroll. You can apply for it. So, you know, it helps a lot of people in this regards because it gives you that working capital to be able to kind of go through these hard times and keep your business afloat, or keep whatever it is that you're doing afloat. So I think that it's something that, you know, right now, depending on when this comes out, you know, you really should look at it. You really should be able to, you know, just take the 5 minutes, Google it, look at the application, see if you fit the boxes, and, you know, do it. You know, as long as you have a legitimate, side hustle at this point, right, and you pay taxes on it, you can apply for it. Okay. So, you know, they gave you the first 12 months, you don't have to make the payments, goes for 30 years. That's solid. The rate is 3.75, which is down to the range of like what most mortgages are. So it's not a bad deal. You probably don't want to keep it for 30 years, but it gives you the flexibility of managing your repayment, you know, as opposed to being strapped for cash because it's, you know, only for 2 years. The PPP loans, Paycheck Protection Program, That is also still in play until the end of the month. You have to apply through your bank. Most banks, you don't have to be a customer, but it is advisable that you go through your bank.
Right.
For the purpose of, it's so many people that applied. When this first came out, I was getting over 100 calls the first day. People just looking for information. Hey, where do I go? What do I do? Do I qualify? You can imagine.
Right. Yeah, 100 calls in a 9-hour workday it's too much.
Yeah, no, and we had people, man, that, the ones that were processing the loans, we had people that worked for 35 plus days straight in a row.
Right.
There was definitely a lot of people that, when you think back and you think essential workers, right? And this is not to take away from anybody that's in policing or health services or anything like that. But there was a lot of people in the banking industry that really...
No, money's an essential... It's an essential thing,
That were really there for people and made a difference in a lot of people's lives, So it was a once in a lifetime moment. The most rewarding thing was was being able to tell people, hey, you know what, you got approved. Here's when you can expect your money. Here's what you can do. And a lot of it, man, it really, the act itself was over 800 pages.
Right.
It was very open to your own, what do you call it? It was open to your own interpretation. So most people really did not know what they were doing. So neither did the bankers. So it really took...
It was new for everybody.
It took days of going back and forth, learning how to make it work. But once we got it down, man, we were just turnkey.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm happy that, the people that were able to get their funds, got the funds, and were able to keep their people working and going. And, hopefully that was able to save a lot of businesses from just shutting down completely.
Right. No, and there's I don't know how many shops closed down because of COVID here.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? You look at Wall Street, it's pretty much, a lot of new businesses that started, and some of them are franchises. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah. And that many people, when people start a business, man, you gotta realize that they had just enough to start it.
Mm-hmm.
They had just enough to buy their inventory, their equipment, put the money down for the rent.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they had, and maybe they had another $1,000 in the bank.
Right.
So from day one, they're hitting that payment. They're going at it. I gotta sell. I gotta make this daily quota so I can pay my rent.
Right.
But then I gotta make a daily quota to be able to pay myself.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a study, I want to say it was done by JP Morgan back in 2017, but essentially the gist of it was that the percentage of businesses that had enough money to survive throughout a certain number of days with absolutely no sales, the numbers it was crazy. Some people, it was 23%, somewhere in the low teens of numbers, right?
All right.
Only had enough money to survive 27 days with no sales.
Right.
So, here we are, 3 months in.
Yeah.
Of some people having no sales, no income.
That was a crazy time.
Still got to pay the rent, still got to pay the bills, still got to pay all these things. Some people were blessed to be given flexibility and a lot of that, but some weren't. So now taking into consideration your pay, feeding your family, what do? Do you pay?
That was the part that I found crazy.
Feed your family?
That was the part that I really found crazy was that when this thing all started, they were like, "Oh, we're going to suspend mortgages and this, that, and the third." And people were like, "Oh, I'm not going to have to pay rent because of the pandemic. I can't work." And a lot of people got messed over hard. It was a crappy situation all around, but I'm happy that y'all have a program like that where it allows people to, get back on their feet and hit the ground running again.
Right.
They don't have to retrain people. They don't have to do it all themselves. They can keep their personnel. Those people are still being fed, and that employer is being fed.
Right.
So,
but I think the most. Listen, this isn't the first time a virus is gonna hit us.
No.
I don't believe that. One bit.
Yeah.
That was the second aspect of that whole tragedy, was just not necessarily, oh no, we don't have money, we don't have business, but we're also running the risk of catching something that it's said to be very effective at infecting people.
Right.
And that was scary. But this being definitely not the last time that we have this, I think that it's at least to some extent good that we saw this through.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the processes that worked. We saw the processes that didn't.
Right.
So being able to go
trial
back,
error.
Yeah, being able to go back and say, hey, you know what, we definitely know this is not working, right? Imagine dealing with your first hurricane as a city.
Yeah.
As a community.
Yeah. Look at New York when they got that Hurricane Sandy. They didn't know what to do. They were
New Jersey.
Yeah.
And that was tough.
Yeah, that's the thing that it was our first run at it. I think the last one was like 1907 or something like that. It was before my great grandmother was born. So,
I'm hoping that this is we learn from it, man, and we can put in place the proper response and procedures to react to something like this, something very similar to this.
Yeah, there should definitely be some type of procedure put in place and people put in place for this exact thing. But I don't think we weren't prepared for nothing like that at all.
No, nobody saw this coming, man.
Yeah,
2020 was supposed to be the year of.
I thought a lot of people said 2020 was going to be their year, and then
and then wave after wave after wave.
Yeah.
To go back to the basis of the question, there's a lot of things out there, man, that people can still take advantage of. I think a lot of it just comes from, getting past your comfort level and being able to call for example, your credit card company and say, hey, you know what, I've been affected, I'm not working, whatever it might be, right? And asking them for deferments, hey, can I skip the next payment, the next two payments? Can you lower down my interest? I mean, a lot of it, again, just goes down to reaching out and asking what these establishments and companies and financial institutions have in place to help you. And a lot of them do, might not necessarily have one that says, breaking kids of a virus, but they have programs that they can adjust and, help people. So
it's great, man. Where should I take this?
So you tell me, man. We're good.
I don't know.
AC's also, it won't come back on.
Yeah, I know. I'm just I'm trying to figure out what else, because you got a lot of shit with you, so and you're very humble about it, so it's very hard, because sometimes I feel like I want to pick your brain, and then I see you start thinking, you're like, I can't let that out just yet. Well,
we can talk about that, moving in secrecy, moving in silence, right? I think that in this day and time now, right, with social media and I mean the unbelievable reach, and I think by the way, just to refer back to the last conversation about COVID, man, I think that in general had such a large effect on it. Being able to, back in the early 2000s, right, something happened in China.
Right.
We didn't hear about it for a couple of days.
Right.
But I mean, it didn't.
Yeah,
the
news
information
travels fast
didn't
now.
travel as fast.
Yeah.
Nor did it have the impact because of the magnitude of people receiving the information. It just didn't allow for an explosion per se, right? Whereas now, 2020, everybody's grandma has a Facebook and sometimes a Twitter and sometimes an Instagram, and now you got all these people posting, all these people looking for the next content, all these people looking for
a video can change your life in milliseconds.
And I think that has such an impact, man, on our response and us running out of toilet paper.
Right. Yeah, what was the point?
You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
That doesn't
you know,
make sense to me still, though.
But
the toilet paper, bro. Like, of all things to run out of, like, how, like, what do you think you were gonna do?
Well, you know that in Florida, I don't know the statistic, but somebody had told me this. An instructor for the concealed weapons permit. He told me that the number of guns that Florida sold in the last 2-3 months, we're talking millions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
it went from
it's the gunshine state.
100,000 guns a month, whatever the number is.
Right.
To
it skyrocketed.
1.2 million.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Guns everywhere sold.
Yeah.
If you're a state like North Carolina where it's an open carry state, you can, vanish on your hip.
Right.
Guns were going like hotcakes.
Right. So it's
people were scared. People were super scared. They thought that everyone else was going to go crazy. So then they went ahead and made sure that they were prepared for the apocalypse.
Well, look what happens in Key West, right? We're such a small community. What happens when somebody starts posting an incident happened in Stock Island or ambulances is down in downtown?
All right.
People are like, "Oh, what happened? What happened? What happened?" You get it as soon as it hits your office. Somebody in your office looks at Facebook.
Oh yeah, the information spreads so fast that the game of telephone is so dangerous too. Because sometimes the information gets passed around, and then I'm getting the wrong stuff, and I'm like, "Oh well, that's what they said. I don't know what to tell you."
Right. But to go back to what I was attempting to talk about was, moving assignment. A lot of things, especially in the assignments, it's hard. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard for people to not feel like they need to post everything that they have going on in their lives. Right. What they're eating for lunch, what movie they're watching, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And while I believe that it's healthy for you to be able to have an extension out to the outside world and be able to, put your life out there, I think there's healthy levels that come with that. But I was always raised, man, that everything you do, you just keep it to yourself. Obviously you share with the people you love to some extent. Right. And, don't take the focus away from it. Don't let the instant gratification of you telling somebody, "Hey man, I'm doing a diet," or "Hey man, I'm doing a new business," or "Hey man, I got a new car," or "I'm planning to buy a new car." And people congratulating you and asking you, like, don't let that instant gratification keep you from actually doing it. Right. Because sometimes that's what we want. I mean, I just want you to tell me I'm doing a good job. Right. It feels great. Mm-hmm. Don't let that take away from that. Go ahead and actually do it. So, that's one of the reasons why, when you say what you say about me and your interactions with me, man, that's why I do it. I don't want it to take away from me, and I want to keep pushing forward. And my ambition. Ambition is not a good thing, by the way. It's really not. But I think that a certain level of it to drive you and push you to be the better version of yourself. Right. Even if it's not necessarily for me, but for my kids, whether it's an example or just for me to be able to provide for them or be there for them, it's needed. And I try not to get caught up in the sauce and all of that. You know what I mean? I don't. You're low key. I do the things to keep me going. Right. Because I know I can be that person. Everybody likes getting, 250 likes on their Facebook picture. Right. Everybody, you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me you don't. Yeah, no, those endorphins go off. Yeah, it's just part of human nature. So, again, I think a lot of it just goes to, you knowing yourself and being able to move accordingly. Right. You take a look at a child, right? A lesson that I learned with my daughter was my daughter's very high strung. She has a lot of character. Mm-hmm. She wants something, she tells you she wants it, she's going to get it. Yeah. Now, I can do one or two things. I can teach my daughter to not be like that, to suppress her nature of being, right, how she normally is, how she naturally is, and let her live with, that feeling for the rest of her life and feeling like she can do anything or she can't be herself, that's not a healthy thing, nor is it something that I necessarily want for my kids.
Right.
Or I can teach her to know that about herself and adjust accordingly. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at, let's not go too far, look at a diet. Right. If you're a person that just can't eat carbs because you know what, you can't lose them, or you pack on extra fat because of it, you don't necessarily skip them. You don't necessarily just stop eating rice or pasta or anything like that. You still need it, but you adjust accordingly. Right. You adjust the levels in your activity and all of that. Yeah. So I think that with life, man, it's just about that.
Yeah, man. Cause I'm gonna get you a motivational speaker role. I swear. I'm sitting here just listening to you, and I'm like, man, this is just talk your shit, man. Just and it don't even have to be anything crazy. It's just, you know, getting that information out there, because I think you're great at getting your words across, and it's not forced. It's very fluid, you know. With me, I feel like I pause and think, and that's one of my flaws that I absolutely hate, is that I'm always thinking about what to say. And it's not exactly, it's more of getting the message to you instead of just saying what I need to say, and then I know that it's going to come out, you know?
Right.
And some people, you know, they're like, oh, I just say what I feel, and, you know, but what you said sounded wrong. Like, you didn't get your message across at all. Like, you completely offended like 30 people. And that's not even your intention. So why did you say what you felt?
It's like when people say, what's that phrase, man? They say, I know I can be an asshole. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, I know I can be an asshole, but...
At least I tell the truth.
And then they do something
right.
that you shouldn't have done. It was offensive.
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Like, just because you're telling me...
Yeah, you fucked up.
That you are a certain way... Hey, you know what? That's the first step. Great.
Right.
That doesn't excuse you from continuing the negative behavior.
It's a horrible habit. It's a horrible, I mean? Not a habit. It's a horrible behavior of yours. Like, it's not. I come across a lot of people like that. I'm just blunt. Like, no, you're just being an ass. Like, it's not cool.
But you know what, man? A lot of the times, though, people just.
Sometimes things need to be said. Absolutely.
Or people just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe you're the first person in their lives that ever told them, you probably shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or pettiness is not a good trade.
Oh, say that again. Say that again for the people.
Pettiness is not a good trade, man. And I recall telling this to a good friend of mine at one point. And, you know, it's funny because it was the one thing that always stuck with her. Mm-hmm. And she, you know, told me years after the fact, or years or so after the fact, and you know, that to me was a moment of clarity. That to me was a moment of like, hey, wow, okay, she really took in what I said, mm-hmm. right? And therefore, at that point, I try to be more mindful of what I said, right. You know, because I can see now the effect that my words can have on people.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you know, thankfully it was a good.
Yeah, it was a good effect, but it can be scary sometimes how much you don't realize what you say can touch somebody. Like I've come across that situation where someone respects me so much because of the way that I am. They're like, you're so calm, you know what to say, and it's like, well, I'm not an overthinker. I think about what I'm going to say. But I'm not an overthinker. I think about it for a moment. I take an action, and then that's it. You know. Mm-hmm. So I don't allow stress in my life. I don't. Somebody hit my car 2 days ago. Nah, perfect example.
Oh, you have no idea, but go on and I'll tell you why.
So somebody hits my car. I'm getting phone calls, and I'm doing a podcast. So I'm not gonna leave my boy in the house to go check this out. It's a car. I don't care. Like, it's whatever. It'll be fixed. But the guy ended up leaving as everything happened. So I go over there and I go check everything out, and everybody's all hype, and they're like, "Hey, you know, they hit your car." Like, I'm like, it's a car. It's a car. Like, what am I to be mad about? Like, as long as it gets fixed, I don't care.
Did they seem like they didn't understand that? They didn't understand
my demeanor?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because if it was their car, they would have raised hell. And I'm not. I move different, and I move different on purpose because I grew up with people who were very aggressive and brash with their words, and it didn't get them anywhere. Like, them being aggressive didn't make them more successful, and it make so I moved to the beat of my own drum. But you were getting ready to say.
Oh no, just the irony of you saying that. So I finished I was visiting a friend.
Okay.
Actually, no, it was a family member's birthday.
Okay.
We were doing it at somebody else's house, and I ended up showing up, and my son wanted to take out this little, I don't know what they're called, man. They're like these little 3-wheel scooters with a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine is riding his four wheeler, whatever they're called, the 4-wheeler.
The trike or the 4-wheeler?
No, the actual 4-wheeler.
Okay.
ATV.
Okay.
Yeah. So my son's going in, and it's late at night, man. It's dark, and I was like, "Hey, Bo," I said, be careful. Just don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You see my son.
Yeah. Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. So, first trip, fine. Went back again. Hey, Bo, be careful. Take the corner slowly. Yada yada yada. Well, that's exactly what he doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take the corner slowly. He goes head on and hits a car. Hits a brand new Honda Accord, I want to say. And it happens to, he hit it, right? This thing had a basket in the front, man. And the way that he hit it, he just happened to hit that perfect spot between the 3 different panels. So it hit the hood, it hit the front fender, and the door. On top of that thing, it hit the side view mirror.
Right.
They pull up, he's still riding the scooter, mind you. He pulls up, and I was like, "Bo, you good? What happened?" He was like, "I crashed and I lost my tooth." Listen, I want to say, I really want to say it took everything in me to not flip out, but it really didn't, man. I was grateful my son was fine.
Right.
First thing I did was like, "Hey, let me, check you out. Let me, does it hurt? Do you feel this? Are you, checking his joints, his movement, all of that." And, thankfully he was fine. But you look at a situation like that, and it's like, my friend was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, no, I know the girl, but the boyfriend tried to come out, and, at first he was, losing the shit because he, we just hit the girlfriend's car."
Right.
But, I ended up being calm, whatever. We ended up talking the next day, and yeah, I paid for the repairs, and it was something, man, that, what? It was almost $2,000, and, I don't care how rich or poor you are, that $2,000 is $2,000.
Right.
You still feel it, and man, I was just happy my son was okay.
Right.
And I'm happy that he learned that lesson that way, and only lost a tooth as opposed to having been worse. And I think we both know a lot of people, man, that unfortunately haven't had the best of luck when it comes into accidents in that regard. So
right,
it was a blessing in disguise. It sucked.
Yeah,
but it worked out.
Yeah, no, you got to take the good with the bad, man.
Yeah.
That's
thanks for bringing that up, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Oh no, man, you gotta take the good with the bad. Like, there's no reason. I don't really find a reason to stress, but it's always good, talking and meeting minds. I love that, and I love that you actually, you dive in when you have a convo. You don't avoid, so that's great.
I appreciate it, man, and thank you for having me, man. It's been great seeing you, catching up, and same thing. Likewise, just seeing what you have going on and allowing me to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
I wish you nothing but the best, man. I hope that all the experiences that come with this, are as enjoyable as they've been, and I'm eager and excited to see your progress with this and how far you're gonna take it. Because I know it'll be far. It'll be good.
Astronomy, stop the riff.